They would spank him on the head in the name of discipline to the point where my husband would black out. He has seizures, and his neurologist thinks it was from all of the head trauma as a child. My husband grew up in a very abusive family, and it just really makes me mad, the stories and some of the mess we've been dealing with now. But I really just want to be able to look past that, forgive them, and just kind of pretend none of that has happened.
And I want dragons to be real, and I want $4 million.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So pretty much a compromise between
there's no compromise.
Consuming me and
So when you said dealing with the mess now, what has emerged since y'all got married?
Just like all the mother-in-law stereotypes times 10, pretty much. But interesting thing, she actually passed away this last year. So a lot of that ended, of course, still some through his dad. But I'm finding myself just incredibly angry with someone who's dead. And that does absolutely no good at all. So,
Yeah, but it's still real.
Yeah.
Anger is a good emotion. It points us towards something that we really care about that shouldn't be the way it is.
Yeah. Yep.
It's when we meditate and ruminate on it. How often do you have imaginary conversations with her where you just let her have it?
Okay. It goes through seasons.
There you go.
So I'll have a few days where, I'm good, everything's cool, something will happen, and then it will just be like, it all comes rushing in, lingers for a few days after that, a few days I'm cool. It's a cycle. Yeah, it's a cycle.
So you probably heard this. Forgiveness is for you.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a decision to no longer let her, this person who just hurt the man that you love more than anybody else in the world, who hurt him over and over and over and over and didn't protect him from other people hurting him. It's a decision to no longer let her hurt him and hurt you.
Yeah. It's true. I think, so growing up, I was always taught forgive and forget. Forgive and forget.
Yeah, whoever says that's moronic.
What?
That's just like a dumb church trope or something they like stitch on a pillow at home at like Home Goods, right? Like you can't forget.
It's so
it happened.
True.
It is.
It's so true. So like for a long time in our marriage, I wrestled with the whole, but if I forgive her, I'm opening myself back up to her. But I don't want to open myself back up to her because that's painful and it's terrible and it hurts. But I also know I should forgive her, but I don't want to get hurt, but I should forgive like that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad you're bringing this up. So forgiveness does not mean I have to hang out with you ever again. Forgiveness doesn't mean I have to talk to you. I have to engage with you. Forgiveness doesn't mean anything like that. Forgiveness simply means think of what happened like a cinder block. All the trauma. Give me some examples of stuff she did to him and his dad did.
Okay, so just like excessive beatings in the name of discipline to the point where my husband would black out.
Yep.
They would spank him on the head. So, he has seizures, and his neurologist thinks it was from all of the head trauma as a child.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have your own kids?
Yeah.
How old are they?
4 and 1.
And do you ever have a moment with your 4-year-old where you just look at him? Those like 4-year-olds are kind of the best because they're over that. People say terrible twos. I think 3 is way worse. But they have that. They have the 4s where they're able to go to the bathroom by themselves, but their eyes are still wide with wonder. And if you have those occasional moments when you look and think, how could anyone hit?
Especially a parent. My job is to haul out and beat up anyone that would do that to him, not do it to him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Who in your life didn't show up for you?
Well, my immediate family is awesome.
Okay.
So they're all great. So like I grew up in a church and it was, the church I grew up in, like, we had a man that was like our youth pastor, principal, all of those things. And he was honestly a jerk. So I guess that could be one where he's supposed to actually be like
a jerk, like he was inappropriate with the young women in the group. A jerk, like he swore at you and gave you bad theology.
Yeah, that too. So
okay, hold on. He's
hyper controlling.
He's not a jerk.
Okay.
He's an absolute child predator. He's a scumbag.
Yeah. He was he was a major flirt and used his control in all sorts of crazy ways. And he would flirt with the teenage girls, and then also, like, at the same time, get on them for not being feminine enough. That was one thing, because I didn't wear enough dresses. So he got on me for that while at the same time flirting with me.
That's right.
So yeah, that's probably the most person who let me down in life, I would say.
Okay, they didn't let you down. They abused you too.
Yeah, I guess you could say that too.
They used you too. Now listen to me. This is where this gets terrifying. In a home with great parents who don't know this is going on. Mm-hmm. And I'm not letting them off the hook, because I think the whole youth ministry thing is its own catastrophe. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
When you're a 13-year-old girl and you have a guy with spiritual authority over you who is both, you know it, he knows it, everybody can feel the sexual tension that he is putting on a child. And at the same time, telling you to get more sexy, and at the same time telling you if you make, quote unquote, make a grown man feel these ways, that you somehow are responsible for his, all that nonsense.
Yeah.
As a 12-year-old, as a 13-year-old, as a 19-year-old, as a 25-year-old, you learn really young, I got to bury this because I'm going to end up killing somebody.
Yeah.
So what I don't want you to do is be led by that power, that 12-year-old girl who's totally powerless. And now that you have bigger muscles, right? You're bigger and you don't put up with that crap anymore, that you're going to try to exorcise that demon with this dead mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And my guess is you're being, you're telling me only some of it.
Yeah, if I told you everything, we'd be here for hours and hours and hours. So it's kind of like, yeah.
So you have a sense of justice inside your heart and your chest that I think is so good and right. But that sense of justice also comes because you had to protect yourself, because no one else would. No one else did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a strange, awful way, that scumbag, piece of crap, child molesting youth minister, and the abusive mother who beat your husband into unconsciousness when he was a young kid, both of them every single day have a seat at your dinner table.
Yeah. They're still here with me, even though they're not with me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so that's when you knock. That's when you knock on the door to a trauma therapist and say, "I need to let two people go."
Mm-hmm.
And if that guy is still working with young people, then it's time to put that call in.
He's actually the pastor now.
Yeah, so, I would make that call. But that's just me. That's easy for me to do. And I'm a big, humongous 6'2" Texas male, so it's easy for me to say. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if he still has access to kids and to other people of influence, then I want those people gone. I want them out of churches. I want them gone.
Same. Yeah. So I guess, my mother-in-law's passed away, but
have you written her a letter?
My father-in-law isn't.
Your father-in-law doesn't get a vote. Your father-in-law shouldn't be in your home. Your father-in-law shouldn't be like at holidays. The father-in-law cashed out.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's definitely still a relationship there, which is.
Now, your husband's a grown man, but at some point you're trying to prop up a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
If those kids need a granddad, no, they don't need that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I think something growing up with like a very religious background is almost grace for everyone else except for yourself.
That's right.
So, you know, grace for him. And I know something my husband's wrestled with. What is that kind? Is it right to, he's in a much better place now, but for years, you know, we were entertaining them, having them in our house, and while also kind of taking a beating verbally, not physically at that point, but a verbal beating for doing it.
So I want you and your husband to wipe the table clean. I want you to like, and I say this like kind of joking, but it helps. Like it helps to have the physical act. Okay. I want you to get a whole bunch of kids' toys. I want you to send your kids out to a babysitter's house. I want you to get a whole bunch of kids' toys, and I say that just because if you break them, that's okay. And I want you to pile them up on the kitchen table. And I want you to sit on one side and your husband to sit on the other. And I want both of you in one fell swooped act to swipe the table completely clean. And it's a symbol. It's an act. It's like a wedding or a funeral. It's an act between the two of you. We are clearing the table. And I want you to hear everything crash on the floor. I want there to be a mess on the floor. I want it all to just fall. All that.
Okay.
And then I want you to look at each other and say, you and I get to decide how we feel inside this house moving forward.
Okay.
What do we want that to feel like?
A sanctuary where no one who's not going to promote that feeling and that safety, no one comes in.
That's right. And if you're not being honest with your husband about that, then you start keeping secrets, and then he feels a distance from you, and then he tries to solve. You see what I'm saying? It just creates this whole loop. And let me just free you from some things. Grace means I forgive you. Grace means go be well. That does not mean you get to have access back into my house.
Yeah, it's two different things.
It's two completely different things. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
Yeah. So I can stop having these conversations in my head.
Yeah, because your body doesn't know the difference. Your body thinks every time you spin up one of those conversations that mom's at the door again.
Yeah.
And I want you to write a letter, and I want you to ask your husband to write a letter to mom. You'll read it to each other, and you go outside and put them in the Brio and put them in the fire pit and let it be done. Like I'm going to say the things I need to say one last time and then go and move on.
Okay.
Because if your faith is what you believe it to be, she's getting hers, right?
Yeah.
Let it go. Because I'm not either that, or I want you to take the extra step of framing a picture of her and just bringing it to the dinner table every night. Just sit it right, just make her a seat at the table, because that's what y'all are doing.
It's very true, because I want to be able to focus on my kids, focus on my husband.
That's not true.
And
that's not true. You don't want that.
Yeah.
You want that.
Okay.
What you really want is
that's true.
To go vindicate your husband with his parents, because nobody vindicated for you.
Yeah. I want, sometimes it irritates me that she's dead and justice never happened.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And I know you've got a lot of religious trauma baggage, but are you still a person of faith?
I am. It just looks a lot different now than it did growing up.
As it should for all of us.
Still in church, but
as it should for all of us. But
yeah.
Then whatever your faith background is, justice is being served. Mm-hmm. Fair?
I'm not sure I understand how is it being? Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And can I tell you the greatest middle finger?
Mm-hmm. What?
Y'all go raise amazing kids.
Yeah.
That have no idea of what it feels like to have parents that don't go to war for their kids.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Raise kids that know they can always come home no matter what they do.
Yeah.
Raise kids that fully understand. I'm not going to outsource your spiritual life to some 22-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
Raise kids who know if you spill the milk in the house, we're going to laugh. You got to clean it up, but we're going to laugh about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raise those kids. That's the biggest middle finger. I'm going to change my family tree. That's the greatest rebellion. Is joy, kindness.
Yeah.
And here's what healing is. Forgive and forget is bullcrap. It's not real. It's not true. It's a dangerous trope.
Mm-hmm.
Healing is when I think about it happening, my body doesn't respond as though mother-in-law's banging on the door to come in.
Okay.
That's what healing
I can
is.
just, when it comes to my mind, just be like, okay, that's done, and then move on with
You can just think, oh, sick poor woman, and you go on about your day because she doesn't get to impact how you deal with your kids. She doesn't get to impact the way you love your husband. And every time your husband has a seizure, I'm not giving her that.
Yeah, because that's one of those things where when that happens, I then for days am, thinking this wouldn't be happening to us if it weren't for her.
And that's a way that you don't deal with the reality that you married an amazing guy who also has seizures. Let's just deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm making it sound easy. It took me about 10 years to get here, and I still have days, right? It's not like it just all goes away. But this is the work. This is the work. And so at the same time, after you and your husband read the letters that y'all write to each other. So here's what I want you to do the table swiping exercise. I want you to each come to the table with 5 or 10 things that you want your house to feel like. And then y'all are going to talk about how we can do this. Oh, if that's the case, then Dad can't ever come over here anymore. Yep. If that's the case, we're doing Christmas in a small state park because that's all we can afford, but we're not doing it with the whole family again. Yep. I want y'all to do that exercise. Swipe the table clean. And then I want you to write that letter to Mom and be done with her, or frame a picture of her and put her at the kitchen table and start making her a seat because that's where she is anyway. The second thing I want you to do is I want y'all both to write a letter to your kids, dear kids, for when they are 21 and 25, I think is what you said. Here's the work we did for y'all. And I want you to read that letter to each other. It's a commitment letter for you and your husband to each other. That we're now moving forward. We're not going to continue to look back. He's got some healing to do, by the way. He needs to go see a trauma counselor. You need to go see a trauma counselor. You need to consider talking to somebody who in authority, if this pastor still has access to kids. And God, I hope dude, a few things get me more raged out than that. But we're going to start moving forward. I'm going to set the bricks down. And if you want to, it's an exercise I've given a lot of people, and it's astonishing how successful they tell me it's been. Go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a cinder block and put a piece of duct tape on it and write your mother-in-law's name on it. And just carry it around your house for a while. Carry it around your house, carry it around in your backyard. Just keep carrying it until your hands feel like they're on fire and they're going to burst. And then you throw it down in the backyard or go throw it down in the woods somewhere. Tear off the duct tape, throw it in the trash, and say out loud, I'm never carrying your sins again. I'm not carrying your abuse anymore. I'm done. And there's a physical act that you can always point back to. So whenever your body spins up, you can go, no, I set that down. I set that one down. And that is the path out of victimhood. It's the path to freedom.